Hello and welcome to your October edition of Cardano360, your monthly catch-up with the people and projects building out the Cardano ecosystem. Now, before we begin, make sure you like, subscribe and hit that bell icon for all the latest Cardano content and news from the team here at IOG. It's been an incredible October for the community with not just one but two special community events. So the community is where we're putting our focus this month, and later in the show we'll hear from ADAO, adahandle, Demeter.run, Bullish Dumpling and more. And make sure you stick around to the end for an exclusive audience with everybody's favourite not so dumb mutt. The one and only Hosky will be in the house, or maybe that's the doghouse. But we'll start a little closer to home with the latest from Kevin and Nigel. So Nigel, Kevin, thanks very much for joining us on Cardano360. Now, Kevin, Vasil was one of the most significant upgrades to the network to date. How's it all looking out there?
Yes, it's been a long journey to get to Vasil, but thanks to all the hard work that the teams at IOG, the Cardano Foundation, and of course the community have put in, we've seen clear signs of improvement to the network since the upgrade last month. So as you know, the Vasil upgrade, it was all about making the dApp, DeFi and NFT experience on Cardano faster, cheaper and better. And we're already hearing great things about the Vasil improvements. So dQuadrant, their transaction fees have reduced by 75% and transaction sizes reduced by over 90%. MuesliSwap, transaction fees down by 50%. Transaction sizes also reduced over 90%. JPEG Store transaction fees also reduced by 50%. Transaction size reduced by 80%. And Fluid Tokens, the transaction size has also reduced by 50%. So really, really positive signs there. And this is exactly what we're expecting from our testing. So transaction fees are great, but of course the transaction sizes mean more throughput in the system. It means that we can process more transactions in the same amount of time. So this is fantastic.
And Kevin, of course, an awful lot of activity out there from developers within the ecosystem.
Yes, absolutely, Tim. So a number of new projects have announced launch plans on social media this quarter and into early 2023. And we've already seen a few launches earlier this month, like Charlie 3's Oracle, verified IDs from IMX and MMaker, GPS assets from Cardano Beam and several others. So it's fantastic to see all the activity coming from the community and putting the network capability to good use.
So Kevin, talking of network optimization, one of the conversations out there at the moment has been around parameters, particularly min, phi and k. Where are we with that? Some work going on behind the scenes, I believe.
So there's been a lot of debate from SPOs and others on various network parameters, including the number of stake pools, K, and the minimum fee. And obviously, our primary concern is to maintain the health of the network, but adjusting these parameters is part of that. It helps improve the stake distribution, and obviously we see calls from many in the community for changes here. So we've started a consultation with the community. We met with a small group of SPOs last week, and we're putting out a wider consultation survey soon to SPOs, as well as establishing new joint working groups to move the conversation forward. So there are quite a few options to consider. It's a very complex space, as you can imagine, but we absolutely need to get this all right, and we need to move the network forward in the best long-term direction. So we invite the SPOs to join our next SPO call, where we will be able to share more with you and engage in discussion with a broader community.
So thank you very much for that, Kevin. Now, Nigel, your team, I'm sure, busy as ever. What's the focus at the moment and what's on the horizon?
There's lots of work going on, some great things to report, Tim. As you might remember from the Vasil upgrade in the summer, we have been working on something called SecP. And SecP is our crypto primitive. It's similar to the one that we've already got in place, Lipsodium. And it's an encryption method to allow dApps to be able to write to the chain. Now, why SecP? Well, it's because other chains use it. So dApp developers are able to actually use this crypto primitive in order to connect and integrate into other chains. So it's a big step forwards. Now, learning from the summer, we've done a lot of work on this. It's come through, which is great, from the community. It was a request from the community. And we've pushed that through into our Plutus engineering processes. And we've got the community teams helping us to test it. And soon after we've got this ready, it'll be then moved into a DevNet that's running protocol era 8, where we can test it and then bring in other people to be able to test it and so on. Now, as we go from that point, then we'll start to repeat the same method that was successful in the summer and start working with the community around what our critical mass indicators are before we actually launch it as an intra-era upgrade. Now, that's one of the most significant things that we're doing on the node, but there are other things. There are fixes and maintenance releases that we're pushing out. We've just done one for Adrestia. We'll be doing others on the node and possibly on the CLI as well in the near future. Now, outside of the node and that piece of Plutus work that we're doing, there's some great work that we're doing across our whole smart contract initiative. And it's worth just highlighting some of the large amounts of work in there, from the third-party support we're doing with the community through to Marlowe and Plutus certification. Each of these have all got different releases coming up, and we're working together so that as we approach the end of the year, we'll be able to pull a whole smart contract strategy together to give us a view of exactly what we want to try and achieve in 2023. Now, I would just like to give a shout out to our community members who have been working with us on various working groups to help us understand how we can actually get an end-to-end process, prioritizing what the community wants through into ourselves so we can triage it and then move it into our Plutus engineering backlog. I'm particularly proud of that. I think we're starting to see a flow coming through end to end, and I think we're starting to achieve some really great things.
Nigel, thank you. Lots of progress, and of course, lots more to share in November for that. So as the IOG team continues to build, so does the community. And for that, you need tools. This month saw the announcement of Demeter.run, a new cloud-based environment for dApp development on Cardano. We caught up with the project's Santiago Carmuega to hear more.
Hello everyone, my name is Anita Jovic and I am part of community and ecosystem team in IOG. Today with us we have Santiago Carmuega. Santiago is an entrepreneur, he is software architect and also the main contributor to TxPipe, which is an open source tooling and infrastructure for Cardano developers. Santiago is joining from Buenos Aires and he is going to talk more about how skilled developers are stepping up from the community to build Cardano tooling for Cardano developers. Can you tell us more about yourself and why did you decide to join Cardano?
I'm a software developer for several years. We choose Cardano because we believe that the research and engineering team behind the project has made all of the right architectural decisions. Non-custodial proof of stake, UTXO model, the hard fork combinator, functional programming for smart contracts, and the list goes on. From our perspective, these are all the right decisions, and they provide the right set of trade-offs to build a robust financial operating system at a global scale. If you're serious about building in Web3, you should be doing it in Cardano.
Recently, you launched the website called Demeter.run, and it is a cloud environment for all the tooling needed to build your dApp in Cardano. Can you tell us more about the team behind it?
TxPipe is a team of software developers with focus on distributed systems and infrastructure. Our mission is very specific. We want to help onboard new developers to the Cardano ecosystem and to improve the developer experience of existing ones. For that, we believe that the best way to accomplish it is by building open source tools where the community has an active participation in the development process.
That's really nice purpose of it. Can you please tell me more about how it works?
If you're a new developer coming to Cardano, you have a long onboarding process ahead of you. You need to set up a node, you need to sync it, you need to set up DB-Sync, you'll need Ogmios, and if you're going to be coding smart contracts, you'll need to set up the Haskell toolchain, Cabal, Nix, and a large number of build dependencies. All of this takes a lot of hours and even sometimes days. For many developers, this might be too much. Developers follow the path of less resistance. I know because I'm one of them. And they'll most likely use technologies that are simple and friendly to get started with. If we can show new developers what Cardano is all about in just a few minutes, I'm sure that they will be able to appreciate all of what the ecosystem has to offer, and they will stay on the long term. Demeter is a cloud-based platform that provides many of the tools that a developer needs to start building on Cardano. You can sign up, create a project, and in just a few minutes, you get access to a fully synced node, to a fully synced DBSync instance, to Ocmios, and many other tools from the ecosystem that we are planning on adding in the following weeks and months. On top of that, you get access to your own cloud-based workspace. This is a full-blown IDE based out of VS Code, where you have all of the dependencies required to build Plutus, Haskell, and other stacks that we are adding. Once you finish building your DApp, you can use a feature called Cardano containers to deploy the DApp within the same infrastructure as where you were building it. So we want to try to provide the full life cycle for the developer, from getting to know Cardano, to building on Cardano, and finally to deploy a DApp in Cardano.
This is very exciting for our ecosystem. Can you tell us how the community can join this project?
We've launched on the first weeks of October, and there is already a sign-up page where you can create your project and get started with all the features. You can go to Demeter.run. You will have all of the information required to get started there.
Thanks a lot, Santiago. It was really nice having you in our 360 show, and thank you for sharing with us such an inspirational developer tool and for building this for the ecosystem.
Charles and a few of the IOG team were at CNFTCon in Las Vegas this month, the first dedicated event for the Cardano NFT community. It was a huge success with dozens of projects attending. Clay Nation, Disco Solaris, Futura, Cornucopias, Dirtbirds, Drip Drops, Adosia, Equine, JPEG Store, NMaker, Ergo, Snapbrillia, Noom, Book.io, Ape Society, Nitties, just a few of the projects taking over the convention centre with thousands of people in attendance. We'll be sure to feature more from Cardano's booming NFT scene over the months ahead. On the topic of NFTs, SeaWorld is the new collaboration between IOG and Wave Financial, providing strategic investment opportunities to drive NFT adoption across the Cardano ecosystem. Josh Miller, VP of Partnerships at SeaWorld, joined us to share more.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh Miller. I'm the VP of Partnerships at SeaWorld. You're probably wondering, what is SeaWorld? Well, SeaWorld is the answer that IOG had to all the NFT activities going on in the Cardano ecosystem. It's been formed as a joint venture between IOHK and Wave Financial for SeaWorld to go out and make strategic investment in certain NFT projects, most recently one being JPEG Store, as well as taking on commercial opportunities to bring to market in the Cardano ecosystem, as you've seen me do. If you've heard of Martin Lawrence, that drop we did together. It's also used as a community outreach for us to be connected to the community and to take part in activities going on. Most recently, Les Borsai of Wave and myself, along with Charles Hoskinson and some team members from IOG, were at CNFTCon in Las Vegas. We use this as an opportunity to meet and greet, say hello to the community, and get involved with the NFT community. The CNFTCon was an amazing event that had many booths all over the place. You had Cornucopia's game, you had Yummy Universe, you had Clay Nation, you had Virtua, you had people announcing partnerships like with Shelby, and then you had the fun things up front, like you had Disco Solaris up there with a dance floor. You had just the community gathered in such a bear market coming together. It was really fantastic for us to be there as an entity for SeaWorld, to introduce ourselves, to get to know. We had some great conversations with like Project Noom, NMaker, and others. It was also great for Charles to take the time and actually walk around and get to know each and every booth that was possible during such a short time. He was able to go around and introduce himself, take some pictures, and have some really great conversations, and also get his hands on some really cool stuff. It's been a great journey at SeaWorld to really take the reins of what we're doing in NFT and Cardano and have a place that we can interact and engage from. We hope to make this a more continual conversation, and SeaWorld is very excited to get up and running. SeaWorld has only been up for about a month, but we've made tremendous strides, having already invested in JPEG Store, and we're also ramping up other outcomes as well. It's a slow start, but with the Cardano NFT community, the most important part is engaging the community. So if you have any questions or you want to know anything about SeaWorld, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. Well, that's all we've got for now, so thanks for having me on, and I look forward to coming back for more announcements soon. We've got some pretty interesting things coming up, as you saw the teaser from Clay Nation about this Chant Medici and Charles Hoskin video. Stay tuned.
Earlier this year, at Consensus in Austin, Texas, we introduced the world to Lace, IOG's new wallet platform looking to make Web3 safer, simpler, and seamless. We took the show on the road to Colorado in October with a booth at the community-organised RareBloom event to share the progress that's been made so far and to announce a community beta program. Let's take a look and hear from some of the community on what they're looking forward to with Lace.
Lace is the exciting new light wallet platform from Input Output Global. We wanted to make it easy for everyone to access the world of Cardano and beyond. So we put in the time and research to create an interface that would be second nature to use. At Input Output Global, we always begin with you, our community. So we talked with wallet users around the world to find out which features they liked and what they would like to see more of. After extensive research, we created a user interface to see how Lace might look and feel. Our product designers made a prototype and tested it with users so they could immediately see what could be improved. They continued testing and refining until they had something the community would love. And that's how Lace was born. For the first version, we started with the features that are essential for the best light wallet experience, such as easy viewing of NFTs, transaction history, and a space to manage and send digital assets. Plus, all Lace users can participate in native network staking and connect to dApps. We also added an expanded view to make it easier to get an activity overview. There's a left-hand menu for navigation and repeatable interaction patterns, such as using the side modal for more information. Our product designers continue to make improvements based on user feedback. And there are already tons of new features in the pipeline, including a dApp store and a dedicated voting center, where you'll be able to participate in Cardano's governance or delegate your vote to representatives. Right now, we're working on an on-chain registration mechanism so users will be able to check the origin, ownership, and certification of dApps. And coming up, we've got dark mode, mobile and desktop apps, decentralized identity integration, fiat on and off ramps, sidechain connectivity, multi-sig capability, and loads more. As with everything that Input Output Global develops, we can't wait to hear your feedback.
So Riley, it is good to be able to get to meet you here at RareBloom 2022 and to get you talking with Michael as well and the rest of the Lace team. So I know you've been doing a lot of great organization of developers around Plutus and the open source ecosystem. Maybe you could just introduce yourself real fast, your affiliations, and then Michael, you as well.
Yeah. I helped start ADAO, which is the first DAO on Cardano, and we've been pushing open source code out to the community ever since we started. More recently, we've actually been working really hard within a multitude of different domains, and we got plenty of funding from Catalyst. I know there was a number of really great projects that weren't funded, and we're actually talking about taking some of the sort of generic open source funding that we received and helping coordinate more open source development, not only within ADAO, but also in the rest of the ecosystem. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So, Michael?
Yeah, so I'm Michael, and I'm the engineering lead for the Lace core team. So I've been with them for a little over 6 months, and very, very lucky to have a fantastic team behind us developing what we hope to be, best-in-class product.
Amazing. So we were just getting into a conversation about the relationship between the open source development ecosystem in Cardano and the Lace team. Specifically Lace engineering. So how do we think about open source ecosystem development relating to integration with Lace on a technical level?
So what we have right now is the Lace wallet, and everything so far has been in-house. So we've developed the core functionality, and we'll be releasing the dApp store as part of Lace, the voting center as part of Lace. And most of Lace is built on the Cardano JS SDK, which is an open source piece, which gives a lot of tools. So if you want to run your own private node, that's fine, you can do that. You want to build you could build a wallet from the SDK if you want. And what we're looking at future is the ability to add more centers that are developed by the community.
So Riley, you've been building open source tools with a group of developers in a very truly open source development ecosystem that we have here in Cardano. I'm curious, hearing that, what do you imagine is something exciting that you can do? Follow-up questions, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, there's a lot I'm really excited about with Lace. Most of it comes down to the dApp store and then the way that SSI can play into it. And not only that, but sort of the certification process and the way that we can have different levels of certification around dApps within Lace. I think that the ability for people to start putting up their code and publishing that or registering that with Lace is a huge deal, because it's something that allows for developers that aren't necessarily doxed to go and start building up a reputation in the ecosystem, which can provide credibility and allow for them to then potentially even make a lifestyle without ever having to reveal their personal identity.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I wonder if there's one or two things that, as a developer who's been in the trenches, you'd like to ask or comment to the Lace team, how you would expect to work with them in future.
Yeah, something that I'm really curious to find out more about is the way that we can actually have Lace with the dApp logic for the off-chain code actually in the Lace wallet, and allow for dApp developers to register that logic into Lace directly. I think that whether that's done with CDDL and some sort of list of transactions for different purposes in CDDL, or if it comes down to actually having some sort of interaction with the SDK, figuring that out and making it user-friendly for dApp developers is, I think, going to be one of the things I'm most excited about, and also most intrigued to see sort of the coming developments around.
So in terms of developing with Lace, I think that's one thing that we're trying to feel out now. We're here at RareBloom, is getting input from people and saying, actually, this is the way that would work for us to have these partnerships. So where the code lives, or how you might certify this, is something that we're keen to work with people to develop.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I definitely think that the amount of community involvement Lace is having is going to end up with a significant positive impact.
Yeah, I mean, input-output has always been an evidence-based company, and Lace is no different to that. So we're going to use user feedback and listen to the community to see, what's coming next. And we've got a whole bunch of our ideas, but why not have input from a huge active community?
Yeah. Well, I know that you guys were going to take a lap and have some conversation off the books, so I'm excited to see what comes out of the relationship between the Cardano ecosystem and the Lace team. It's really exciting. Thank you, guys.
Really excited as well, and
Thanks very much. Riley, it was great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too.
Okay, Goose, thank you for being here and chatting with Alex and the Lace team. Could you, first, before we jump into the details, introduce yourself, your relationship to adahandle, and then Alex, yourself as well with Lace.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm Goose. I was one of the co-founders of adahandle. When we started, albeit we started thinking it was going to be some sort of weekend project while we all maintained full-time jobs. And of course, like any project that finds success, that isn't the case. And it takes a lot more man hours than you initially ever thought. And then it kind of grew into something that we also never would have thought. The conversations we had back then look nothing like the conversations we have now. We were very lucky, and I'm very grateful that what we were able to accomplish by building a very easy and simple to understand product is build a very large user base, which allows us access to be able to take steps into new spaces. For instance, like you had mentioned, why we're taking very seriously the SSI space is where we fit in identity in Web3.
Alex, what about you?
So I am the head of product for wallets and services. And Lace is a part of the wallets and services group. So we've been working on Lace for about a year now. And yeah, we're trying to make Cardano and blockchain better, easier. It's the catchphrase we use is it needs to be simple, safe, and seamless.
Yeah, so that leads into what seems to be a theme here I keep hearing is taking these promises of crypto, these amazing ideas of things like self-sovereign identity, things like security and decentralization, and really translating that into an accessible user experience that anybody can have and that can facilitate mass adoption. So first I'd like to start with you, Goose. What is adahandle and how does it begin to work into that vision?
Totally. So earlier I'd mentioned that we had created a simple to use product, and that product is an NFT that basically allows a user to map their cryptographic address to a human readable address. So basically it takes a very computer friendly standard and makes it human friendly, which at the foundations of identity is where you want to start with human readable addresses. And like I had said earlier, it is our prerogative now to make sure that we're building at the same pace that the other dApps need an identity provider or product to be building.
Yeah. And what's the significance of it being human readable? How does this facilitate that vision of user experience?
The best way for me to exemplify this is to use an actual example that exists in the Web 2 world. Just to draw a comparison, when you transact with somebody in today's world, in today's financial landscape, for the most part, most people like on mobile are using apps like Venmo or PayPal or Cash App, because the reality is nobody knows or wants to know your full routing number or banking number. In the crypto and blockchain world, it's very similar, where a user has a cryptographic address that nobody wants to bother using or knowing. And so that's the bridge that we gap.
Yeah, amazing. So Alex, I wonder how you take this self-sovereign identity as one of those elements and the other things that Lace is doing to prioritize the same vision that I see multiple people pioneering of bringing the vision of Web3 into a real user experience.
Yeah. So for us, like a reason, or predominant reason to want to partner with ADAhandle is because it allows you to be, more safe and secure while operating within an anonymous system. But you kind of want to extend it to everything eventually. Like on a fundamental level, it comes down to the fact that somebody could impersonate dApp number XYZ. I send my money there, and all of a sudden my money is stolen. How do you prevent that? Like if I know it's a reputable counterparty with an identity that has it is being used multiple times, people might have given it ratings and reputation and all that kind of stuff. That is sort of it's building an identity of your counterparty, and it makes it a safer and more usable space. And just to sort of follow up on the address part, you don't want to know what somebody's address is. You want to know that you're actually sending the money to the right person.
So obviously we have both of you guys here together from Lace, from ADAhandle, discussing the future of these products and these product use cases. So I'm curious, Goose, what you think about collaboration and the importance of that within the ecosystem.
Good question. I think ADAhandle's done, as I said earlier, we've done a good job at establishing a user base. I think another thing that we're very thankful to have done is establishing connections with different dApps to allow our users to have an interface pretty seamlessly throughout the ecosystem. And one thing that we want to make sure, as I think the space is maturing and really getting ready to embrace Web3 identity, is to make sure that the developer ecosystem is building standards together. We have these collaborations with all of these different dApps. Is to kind of push that, we're one ecosystem, and we do have a chance at providing strong Web3 identity frameworks for the rest of the world to use. So,
well, this is great as a first step, having these conversations, and I know you guys have been talking before about potential interactions. So really exciting to see. Any calls to action that you have for the community, those listening?
We're launching our beta program right now, so if you want to be part of it, go to lace.io and just register your email address, and we'll make sure that you get part of the beta program and all the future features that are to come in Lace.
Amazing. All right. Anything from you, Goose?
I'd say all from me in terms of call to action is, if you own a handle, do exactly like Alex said and jump onto the Lace platform and register for the beta.
Amazing. All right. Great, guys. Thank you.
The There were dozens of community projects building on Cardano at RareBloom and some well-known faces. We'll have plenty more interviews coming out over the next month, but for now, let's meet one of our spiciest community voices.
So Dumpling, thank you for being here with us today at RareBloom 2022. Can you tell us who you are and what your involvement is in the ecosystem?
Yes, I am Bullish Dumpling. People call me Dumpling. So I have created a Chinese-speaking community. That's one of the things I am involved with. I think more people got to know me because I do Twitter Spaces. The goal of that is to create a platform for projects and community to connect and have a civil but spicy discourse. So I guess you can say, in a way, I'm a trust builder for projects and I'm a community builder for the Cardano ecosystem.
What kind of development have you seen in the Cardano ecosystem since you began working?
So I'm going to blow my own trumpet a little bit. So I definitely see a lot more trust in the Chinese-speaking community for Cardano. Before I stepped in about 2 years ago, a lot of FUD and rumors were in that particular community about Cardano. But of course, I came in, created consistently impartial content, kept the conversation open with anybody who has a question about Cardano. So nowadays, I can say that at least in that part of the world where people speak Mandarin, I think we have a lot more trust. Now, in the international community side, I think it's also the entire crypto ecosystem as a whole. Trust is becoming a much more important element in this industry. So you see Luna, Celsius. After that crash, we see a mindset shift among the people. Projects can't just show their way out of it. And you see an increase of like YouTubers and influencers who are asking the difficult questions. So I think for Cardano and for this industry, trust is going to be the center of many things, be it marketing, token sale, community building, and development.
Yeah, so I know that your Twitter Spaces that you've been doing have been really influential so far in building that trust between projects and community, at least as far as I've seen. So I'm curious what you think of decentralized governance. How is that developing in the Cardano ecosystem, and where do you see it going?
Oh, that's really big and interesting question. I discussed this question with different people, and you see people see this, take this from different perspectives, right? I think in the community, people are very optimistic. We're going to have this decentralized governance. So first, what is decentralized governance? Is it just voting on a DAO and any other project can do that? Or does that entail many more things? So take, for example, Project Catalyst. That's one of the small examples of decentralized governance. And I would say even with that, we're having a lot of challenges because it is such a new thing for us, right? We witnessed the Catalyst Turbo and many other controversial events in the community. People are having questions. I think the issue currently is that people are not matching their responsibility with the privilege that they're given by holding ADA. So holding ADA, being able to vote, is a privilege. But we need to take responsibilities to read the proposals, to vet it, whatever have you, just like you would to elect your state minister or things like that. And I think the challenge, how are we going to solve that? One of the things I could think of as a community builder and an educator is, of course, education. Telling people about the importance of it, the impact of it, what do they get out of it? But I don't have the full answer yet. I mean, education is very well, but where do we take from there?
Yeah, that is fascinating. So thank you for sharing your perspective on that, and thank you for the work that you are doing in building trust in the community.
Thank you very much for the interview. Thank you.
And if you want to catch more interviews from RareBloom as we publish them, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Marlowe, a domain-specific language for financial smart contracts, will soon release a suite of tools known as Marlowe Runtime to help developers, builders, and enterprise create, deploy, inspect, and integrate smart contracts into their dApps. We'll be doing a deeper dive over the Cardano Summit weekend in November, but meanwhile, product manager Omar Hussain joined us to share a quick preview.
Hi everyone, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the product manager for Marlowe and here to provide you with some really exciting updates as well as a sort of call to action for you, the community. So there's a lot of financial innovation in the blockchain industry, but it's still a pretty complex, error-prone and expensive process to design and integrate smart contracts, even for the seasoned developer. Marlowe's domain-specific language, or DSL, and suite of products help address some of these complexities. They make it easier to write, deploy, inspect, and even integrate proof-based financial smart contracts into new or existing systems. So it's a really exciting time for Marlowe. Very soon, we'll be offering what we call the Marlowe Runtime, complete backend services that enable developers to deploy Marlowe contracts within dApps, web pages, and even Web3 platforms. And you'll be able to do this without having to assemble the plumbing to manually orchestrate a backend workflow for something like a Marlowe-based app. So this merits a really emphatic call to action for all Marlowe users, whether you're aspiring smart contract developers, integrators, or builders. We need you to not only try out and test the runtime, but also collaborate and come up with use cases to really unleash the power of Marlowe. So we'll be sharing some details soon, along with a demo and documentation of the Marlowe runtime, and also some exciting information about the revamp of the playground. So watch out for some exciting news coming soon.
So talking of the Cardano Summit weekend, here's another date for your diaries. IOG will be running a special live stream digital event right before the summit on the 18th and 19th of November. We'll be streaming live from our blockchain lab at Edinburgh University with some special announcements, special guests, a keynote from Charles, and over 20 sessions outlining some of the achievements of the past 5 years and updates on everything IOG is building as we head into the age of Voltaire. The event itself will be digital only, but if you're local to Edinburgh, can't make it to Lausanne for the summit, or just fancy a trip up to Bonnie, Scotland, you can join us at a special community meetup on the evening of the 18th of November. You'll find a link to register below, and numbers are limited, so don't delay. Well, that's almost a wrap for October. Make sure you check out some of the latest content on the blog and Essential Cardano. You might also want to check out a video from Washington, DC, where Charles talks about the future of the industry and regulation for the space. But we saved the worst till last. RareBloom featured a whole host of Cardano characters, and you don't get much more characterful than this furball. Let's close out with Matt and his very special canine friend. Don't worry, he doesn't get rugged. See you in November.
So Hosky, it is really an honor to get to speak with you today. I know it's very challenging to get an interview with somebody as important as you in the Cardano ecosystem.
Thank you. The honor is actually mine to be considered for an interview, so thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, you know, there's a few key issues that a lot of people in the Cardano ecosystem have been wondering about. And, you know, as one of the legends of the space and really a serious mind, can you tell us, what do you think about this issue of rugs that we hear about in the wider crypto ecosystem?
Right, so it's unfortunate that we see so many rugs happen across the ecosystem, whether it be here on Cardano. We've had a few share of them. We've also seen plenty in other blockchains, and it's unfortunate because people are basically being taken advantage of. They are promising everything and delivering nothing. We've seen a few rugs happen recently within the last couple of weeks on Cardano where mint didn't go according to plan and they just decided that, hey, we're done because we couldn't sell out, which I think is a very negative way to even present your project, because if you are basing your entire project on selling out, then you obviously are very short-sighted. Our project, we have 420,000 NFTs, so trying to sell that out is a challenge. As it stands right now, we're at about 360,000. So believe it or not, we actually are getting there, and we're concerned about selling out because we want to be accessible. We want to be there for somebody who's new to the ecosystem and they can find something that's affordable. You know, you don't have to spend 1,000 ADA, 2,000 ADA to feel part of a community. And, you know, I think that the community aspect of projects is what's often neglected because these are almost tickets to getting into a community. So when somebody is basically pulling the rug from under the community, you're hurting the people that put their faith, that put their trust in you and gave you not only their money, but their time. I think the time is actually a bigger investment than the actual dollar amount that was spent. Obviously that hurts as well. But when it comes to the time that some of the people on our Discord have put into it, I would be ashamed to just strip that away from them. There's people there that have spent hours upon hours on there.
Yeah, so you've developed a serious community within Hosky and the Hosky idea. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that's been like and what you see the core value of the Hosky community being? Why do people buy into this idea?
Well, we've promised absolutely nothing, and I think we can say we've delivered that and probably a little bit more. I think the main reason that people come to our community is because they will feel welcomed. There's nobody trying to flip NFTs. There's nobody trying to sell you something that's not there. Like if you go to our community and you try to talk about flipping things or manipulating markets, which we've had those conversations, unfortunately, you'll get laughed out because the people that are in our community are there for the fun of it. They know that they can come here, they can be idiots, which is a loving word for our community. They appreciate that, which if you're not part of the community, don't use it. It doesn't work very well. But they found a place where they can be themselves and be accepted and not be judged upon whether or not their PFP is worth 10,000 ADA or whatever the case may be. You can put a 6.9 ADA PFP and be welcomed as part of the Hosky community. And not only that, I mean, there are 420,000 of them. So our community has a very large voting power because of the fact that we're not limiting ourselves to 10,000 pieces, is a much wider audience. I came from a third world country, and seeing some of these flips that people make with years worth of income that some people would love to have is a little sad. So again, we wanted to make this affordable. We wanted to have a community people could join and be a part of without having to get a second mortgage on their house.
So there really is a serious concept behind this and a purpose, I sense. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that. What is your mission with Hosky?
So I believe that within an ecosystem, there are different niches that must be filled in order to have a successful, fulfilling ecosystem. And unfortunately, I feel like meme coins are a necessary evil. There are people that are just looking to quote unquote degen and, YOLO, all these words that are often associated with meme tokens. The difference here is we're telling you what is truthful. This token will not make you rich. This token is not going to make you a millionaire. This token is worthless, zero. And if you can come into the ecosystem and enjoy that aspect, then you'll have a good time. You'll enjoy it. You can be a billionaire in Hosky token, obviously, not actual monetary value. That is the niche that I feel that we have a role or a job to fill. And it's funny because our actual brown paper says we saw a gaping hole and we're here to fill it. That being the fact that there were no proper meme coins. The meme coins, there was a few that did come before us. They were promising rockets, moons, gains, when in reality, anybody who goes into a meme coin with that mentality, writes the hype wave, they're going to get wrecked.
This is a fundamentally fascinating role that there's basically a niche for shitcoins. And since it has to be filled, there's a way to fill it. And it seems like that's what you guys are doing.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for. We want to be that meme coin that people can look up to. When people think of other blockchains, they usually can think of a dog-related meme token. And it's usually a Shiba dog. So when they think about Cardano, they can think about a Husky, which is where the name came from. It's a play on words between Husky and Hoskinson, and it is where Hosky came from. So yeah, we do strongly believe that this is the niche and we're here to fill it.
Amazing. Well, Hosky, thank you. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.